Hi everyone and happy Pride 2021 from Outhouse. We are delighted to be kicking off the Pride celebrations today with our annual Pride Brunch. This year is a little different. We've got a virtual cook-along. Francis is going to tell you all about that in a moment. Now, Outhouse is Ireland's only full-time LGBT+ community resource centre, and we've been a safe haven for the LGBT community since 1997. We're located on Capel Street in Dublin, and we hope to open our doors again to the community at the beginning of July. We're a safe space where LGBT+ people can meet, book events, visit our cafe and queer library, and generally make things happen. We'd like to thank everyone who's donated and fundraised for Outhouse over the last year, and specifically this Pride season. It's really beneficial to community and non-for-profit organisations such as ourselves, and we're super grateful.
Thanks, Sarah. What better way to start your Pride than with a delicious brunch to fuel your day? We are honoured that avid chef and activist Colm O'Gorman and mixologist Dave Mulligan are joining us to cook up and mix up some treats. Colm O'Gorman is the Executive Director of Amnesty International Ireland and an advocate for LGBT+ rights worldwide. Dave Mulligan is the owner of Bar 1661, which is around the corner from Outhouse. He is a passionate mixologist and specialises in craft cocktails. Outhouse hasn't been the same without you. We look forward to seeing you very soon in the building. Please welcome Colm O'Gorman and Dave Mulligan to Outhouse Pride Brunch 2021. Over to you guys.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks very much indeed to Outhouse for asking us to do this today. Happy Pride. A Pride like no other. The second year that everything is virtual, that a Pride is virtual. So yeah, let's get started with some cocktails and some pancakes to fuel us for the day. Just before I hand over to Dave to make us our first cocktail, because let's face it, it's never too early for cocktails, is it? Just a reminder of the ingredients that you'll need for the fabulous lemon and blueberry pancakes that we're going to make this morning. You'll need 350 grams of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of caster sugar, a teaspoon of baking powder, 4 eggs. If you can separate them now, that's great. 500 ml of buttermilk, the grated zest of a lemon, the juice of half a lemon, and about 250 to 300 grams of blueberries, and then some butter to cook the pancakes. And if you have some streaky bacon in the fridge, throw that on as well and have it on the side because it's really good, and some maple syrup and some fresh berries. So just a reminder of the ingredients, and we'll be cooking along with those in a few minutes' time. But now the bit I'm excited about, because I'm ready to go on this one. Dave, over to you for our first cocktail.
How you doing? And thanks very much, Colm. A massive happy Pride to everybody from the whole team in Bar 1661. We're celebrating here. We're right around the corner from Outhouse, and we're also up the road from Panty Bar, who obviously steals the show and does such great work. But we thought we'd start with 2 coffee cocktails to get going, since this is a brunch. Let me turn down my reverb there. 2 coffee cocktails, the classic Irish cocktail, our signature cocktail as a nation, the Irish coffee. And then our house drink here at Bar 1661 is the Belfast coffee. I'm going to make these simultaneously, and they'll show you how similar these drinks are. The main difference, one is hot and one is icy cold. One is with whiskey. We're using Powers John's Lane, and then one is with Irish Poitín, the white Irish spirit, and that is actually my brand and the house brand here, Vaughan. So we're going to be making one in a mixing glass, and one we're going to be building in the glass, okay? So we're going to ice up our mixing glass here. Let's move that. First thing you want to do, you need some rich Demerara syrup. Now this is, anybody who's a home cocktail maker should have a bottle of this in the house. This is just sugar and water. We use half a litre of water to 1 kilo of sugar, which gives you that nice rich sugar syrup. So for the Irish coffee, I'm going to put in 15 ml into the glass. And for the Belfast coffee, I'm putting 15 ml over the ice. Okay, so same measurements for these drinks. One is hot, one is cold. For the Belfast coffee, we use cold brew coffee. Just all you do, you steep your coffee in cold water for 24 hours. Again, you should get a good week out of a cold brew, so you can have plenty made in the fridge. And we're going to use 60 ml, okay? So that's it. If you want to use an egg cup, this is quite equal parts, you know, half an egg cup, a full egg cup. It would be a double egg cup of the cold coffee. Cold coffee going in there. And then we are going to put hot coffee, which I have over here, filter coffee. we are going to put that in the Irish coffee, okay? So that's just sugar and coffee gone in there, and we've left space for our whiskey. So again, John's Lane, a great Irish brand, a pot still Irish whiskey, and we're going to use 30 ml of the Irish whiskey in there, okay? You might want to preheat your glass when you're doing an Irish coffee, guys, but it's a commonly misprepared drink in Ireland where people over dilute the coffee. They use maybe 6 parts. We like it at about 3 different parts, okay? And then back to my ice drink, we are going to put 30 ml in on top of that, sugar and cold brew, okay? So this is Irish Poitín from Eckernville Distillery, and it's made from barley, a little bit of potatoes, of course, and a little bit of beet molasses. Now, we are going to give this one a good old stir to get it nice and cold and add a little bit of dilution, okay? So we started with 60 ml of cold brew, but when we add the dilution, there's going to be about another 20 ml of water gone into this drink, okay? You can use anything. You can use a kitchen spoon. You can use a pint glass if you wish, but making cocktails at home is all about showing off for your guests. So please look fabulous. So you can see, guys, they look exactly the same drinks. One is hot, one is cold. And then the final addition here we're going to give it is just some rich double cream. We've tried this drink many times with vegan alternative creams. The big problem is we can't get it to float. So we're just going to float double cream here over both of them. I use a protein shaker, keeps it nice and clean. You can put them out at volume, and you can always keep it in the fridge for tomorrow as well. So 2 nice fingers of cream. They look identical, and then the finishing touch for any Irish coffee, Belfast coffee, whatever you're making, is freshly grated nutmeg, okay? An Irish coffee without nutmeg is like an egg without salt. It's good, but could be better. Colm, I hope you're keeping up with me there. Oh, well done.
I'm already
Cheers.
into the first one.
Fair play. Cheers to that, guys.
Okay,
Cheers
that's
to
going
Pride.
to keep it going. That's going to feel. This is fantastic.
The house drink here, the Belfast coffee. It outsells Guinness in this bar. We're a cocktail bar. First and foremost, Poitín is our bread and butter. It pays the bills. So yeah, Belfast coffee is our little twist on the Irish classic.
You're right about the nutmeg, by the way. The nutmeg on the top is just fantastic. The fresh nutmeg. It's critical, isn't it?
Always critical.
Okay, let's get on with our pancakes then. You should have all your ingredients to hand. I'm going to flip this camera around a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So hopefully it won't be too jiggly for you all. So the first thing you need to do is combine all of your dry ingredients. So that is your 350 grams of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and a teaspoon of baking powder. And just mix those together. That's all you need to do with those for a second. Put them on one side. And then you'll have 4 egg yolks. You've separated your eggs. Separate out the egg whites and the egg yolks because you're going to use the egg whites in a couple of minutes. So now you just need to add to the egg yolks your buttermilk. Then the zest of a lemon. I've zested this already. So just pop that in. And then just using the same lemon, just the juice of half of that lemon. And pop that in. Now the lemon is really important in this recipe because that lovely zesty lemony flavour really comes through in the pancakes. Lemon and blueberry is just the most fantastic combination. It's a bit of a classic combination, so they just work wonderfully together. And just whisk that together like that, just roughly. And that's that ready. Set that to one side until you need it in a few seconds. Get your pan on now because we'll be ready to start making pancakes in a little while. And I'm using a good heavy base pan. So just get that on and get it nice and hot while we're doing the final piece of mixing. Excuse me now while I carry over one of my favourite objects in the world, my Kenwood Chef. I bought this when I was 16, so it's at least 40 years old. And a nice little pride story. At one point, my sister had it for a few years and some of the attachments got lost. So when I got it back, I was missing some of the attachments. So I put a shout out on Twitter and Panty Bliss's mammy came to my rescue. So I now have been able to completely restore my Kenwood. And now I'm making food for my kids with the same equipment that fed the Queen of Ireland all through her childhood. So there's a nice little pride story, kind of a silly one really, but there you go. So pop in your egg whites. Now it's going to get noisy for a minute. Before it gets really noisy, we just want to whisk those up until they've got nice peaks in them, until they're nice and fluffy. This will just take a couple of minutes. And there you go, that's what you want. You want nice, fluffy egg whites. These are really important because they're going to give your pancakes their lovely, fluffy rise. The baking powder, of course, helps as well. But the egg whites just make these pancakes super light and super, super fluffy. So don't miss that bit. So now, really simple then. All we need to do is pop the wet ingredients in with the dry ingredients. So I'm throwing in my egg and buttermilk mixture with the lemon zest. And just give that a good stir through. Now I know watching egg white whisk is not the most exciting TV on the planet, but that's the kind of thing that you have to do just before you combine them, because you don't want the air to go out of the egg whites. And you can just mix this quite roughly. It doesn't have to get completely smooth. So you can see it there now. It's reasonably well combined. Now, time to incorporate your egg whites into that mixture if you're still with me. And some of you are cooking along here. It'd be an awful shame not to make these. So add about half of the egg whites in first. And now you just want to fold those through. Whenever I hear folding something through at the moment, I always think of Schitt's Creek. And if any of you have seen that episode, you'll know what I'm talking about. That's about the only pop culture reference you're going to get from me this morning. But this is what folding means. It just means to gently circulate the spoon through your mixture. And what you're trying to do is to keep as much air as you can in the egg whites so that that gets into your pancakes and you don't break it down too much. Again, that's really important for the rise here. And let's face it, the rise is really important, isn't it? Okay, and now just add in the rest of your egg whites. And continue to fold those in. Now, this takes a minute or two, but it's important to do it properly, as I said, because this is why these buttermilk pancakes are so light and fluffy. All of the air from the egg whites is what gives them their gorgeous, gorgeous light texture. So just keep folding that in until it's all combined. There you go, nearly there. You don't want to leave any lumps of egg white in it, because if you do, that's just going to cook and you'll have a lump of egg in the middle of your pancake. So just fold it through well. That's it. There you go. Now you can see that's quite a light, fluffy mixture. So now you can we're ready to make our pancakes. So just wash off some fresh blueberries. I have about 250 ml here. This This recipe will make about 10 to 12 pancakes. So anything from 3 to 4 people, depending upon how hungry everybody is. So about 250, 300 ml of pancake, or 300 grams of pancakes. It's nice to have a few extra on the side as well when you're serving up the pancakes. It makes a real difference. A little bit more of this coffee before we go any further. God, I hope you made that. It's fantastic. I could just have that for breakfast. Never mind the pancakes for the moment. All right, so my pan is nice and hot now. So just add a knob of butter to the pan. And do use butter. Don't use cooking oil. You know, nothing beats butter really. So just make sure you use that. I'm going to bring the camera over a little bit so you can see what's happening in that pan. So my butter's getting nice and foamy there. My pan is lovely and hot. I'll just turn that down a little bit. So you want to keep the pan nice and hot, but you can turn it down to kind of a medium heat. Now just take a ladle of the batter, add that to the pan. I usually get about 3 pancakes on the go in this pan. And there's the third one. Smooth them out a little bit if you want to get a nice even size so you can stack them. Now as they cook, you'll start to see air bubbles come up in the pancake, which will tell you when it's time to flip them over. We let those go for a moment or two. Time for some more Belfast coffee. So I don't know whether you can see it there, but I'm starting to see some nice bubbles coming up in the pancakes. So I know they're getting well cooked underneath. Now just scatter over some blueberries. Just as many as you need to give the pancake a decent covering. And just give it another minute or so for the pancakes to cook on one side. And while that's happening, I'm going to put myself on some streaky bacon because I love streaky bacon with fruit pancakes. So now you can see that there are some nice bubbles beginning to form in the top of the pancake. So I reckon I'm safe to start flipping now. So just toss them over. Oh, lovely. And nice and golden on that side. And honestly, as I said earlier on, do not use anything butter to cook these pancakes in. It really makes such a difference. They are absolutely delicious cooked in butter. Do not use cooking oil or you'll lose a lot of flavour. So while they're just finishing off, I'm going to get my plate ready. I'm going to serve these up with some more fresh blueberries and maybe some fresh strawberries. So just cut through some strawberries, get them ready there. Being from Wexford, we have the best strawberries in the world. And this is very much strawberry season down here, so they're a constant feature in our house at the moment. Now these are almost done. Just give them another minute or two. I should also add, I don't know if you're hearing it here in the background, we share our home, our family home, with a couple of greyhounds. So at any moment, there could be mayhem. I can hear one of them starting to protest loudly because he's outside and wants to come back in again. So we may have an invasion, a hound's invasion at any second now. Bear with me if that happens. So now you'll see I've just flipped over the pancake there. You can see it's beautifully cooked on the other side. So you can start to plate them up. Lovely and light and fluffy. So that's your stack of pancakes building up nicely there. Is there anything prettier than a pancake stack? Well, I guess there probably is, but at this time of the day, I don't think there is. So just while I finish this off then, I'm just going to finish cooking my bacon and get the rest of my garnishes ready. But while that's happening, I'll hand you back to Dave in a second now, because Dave's going to make us another cocktail, another fantastic cocktail. Um, uh, uh, have your maple syrup ready, have your sides ready. As I said, fresh fruit are fantastic with these. I'm a huge fan of streaky bacon, that lovely, salty, crispy flavour with light, fluffy pancakes, lots of maple syrup and fresh, zesty fruit. It's just a killer, killer combination. So come back in a few minutes after Dave has made the pancake and we'll see the final dish. Over to you for the moment, Dave.
That's lovely, Colm. I must admit, I actually started my career in hospitality in kitchens, and blueberry pancakes were one of our specialities. That was a long time ago, though, I've got to say. I think it was actually the last century, so I wouldn't be up to your standards. We're going to do another cocktail, guys, and because it was early morning, we started with the coffee. We probably should have started with an aperitivo, but what I wanted to do today for the non-drinkers was a non-alcoholic version of the classic Italian cocktail, the Negroni. Okay, so non-alcoholic spirits. I believe a lot of our viewers got some of our Nother Negronis in hand. This is our non-alcoholic offering with craft cocktails. It's actually, funnily enough, it's the most expensive cocktail we make in the bottle. That's because these new non-alcoholic spirits to market, they can be quite pricey, but for people who abstain from alcohol or are giving it up, they can really elevate the style of drinks you have at home. And definitely in cocktail bars like ours, where we want to give an experience, we want to give a really premium product. These things really fill the gap for us. So we're probably only on the scene about 5 years, but we are starting with a brand called Liars. We're going to start with their Italian Spritz, 0% alcohol. And this Negroni is an equal parts drink, so we're going to follow that recipe. This is to replace your Campari. That's what they say, similar to like an Aperol. Nice, bitter, sweet spirit. So we're going to put in 30 ml of this Liars non-alcoholic Italian Spritz. We're going to then use another one of the Liars range. I think they're up to 20 different products now, ticking all the boxes. This is called Italian Orange, and this is going to replace your vermouth. Give it a really, really nice orange forward flavor. And we're going to use 30 ml of that as well. And then finally, the brand that started it all was Seedlip. Seedlip was started, I was actually very lucky to share an office with Ben, who started Seedlip. He used to maybe indulge a little too hard. He'd given up the alcohol, and he was the one who spotted the gap that, you know, in top cocktail bars, they were still serving fruit juice and sugar as their non-alcoholic alternative. So he wanted to change the game, and he invented this Seedlip. We're using the spice variety. We have 3 different varieties. The orange one would also work fabulous in this drink, but the spice just gives it a lot of botanicals and a lot of complexity to the drink, okay? I'm going back to my fancy, fancy spoon. And guys, again, these spirits might seem like a big investment, you know, but they are worth it. They last you a while. You're not going to polish a bottle in a night. And they just really change the game for the non-drinkers. Now, I must flag that these spirits, generally when we stir a cocktail, we want to add dilution to bring that alcohol level down. We don't want to serve a cocktail at 40%. So the water from the ice obviously drops it naturally. These spirits are already watered down. You don't want to thin them out too much, but you do, like every cocktail, you want to get it nice and cold. So I have a nice rocks glass with a giant rock of ice in there. And what I've made, again, is the home version of our Not a Negroni. You can buy this and we've done the work for you, or you can make these yourselves, and you can make plenty if you invested in the bottles. So in over the ice we go. We got a beautiful color, very, very similar to the classic Negroni. And then I just have a nice wedge of fresh orange here. Wedge that into the glass. And finally, I just want to put a tiny little dash of orange blossom in there. That, again, is just going to elevate all the flavors that are in that Italian orange liqueur, non-alcoholic liqueur, yeah? So cheers to that. Happy Pride again. And cheers to you, Colm.
Thanks, Dave. I'm going to admit something now. My Belfast coffee came courtesy of you. You made this and sent it down to me. So as spectacular as it looked, all I did was whip and float the cream. They're
Hey,
fantastic.
that's what craft cocktails is all about. That's what we do. We got our biggest seller, the porn star martini. We got our raspberry Negroni. We got a full range. And then we actually, when the Outhouse does get back open, for anyone who's been enjoying these at home, we just built a fabulous new production facility next door to the bar. I'm a man for detail. We put in some awesome features in there, but we've got a cocktail masterclass station where you can come up and we show you how to make all these drinks in person.
They're absolutely stunning and easy as hell. And by the way, folks, this wasn't a planned advertorial insert. I'm just blown away by the quality of these cocktails, so I thought I'd mention them. Thanks a million, Dave. They're absolutely stunning.
I appreciate that, Colm. Thank you.
So on the pancakes now, I mean, what I did was I made up one batch. So you can make these up, make them up, depending on the size of your pan, you'll get 3 or 4 on the pan, just make them up. Just keep them warm and just cover them with some foil while you're keeping them warm, or keep them warm in an oven. Have your oven at about 120 degrees. You don't want it too high because it will continue to cook the pancakes if you have it too high, and which obviously wouldn't be a good idea. Nobody likes dried out pancakes. But just then garnish these with a little, as I said, some fresh berries. And let me see if my bacon is ready. Yeah, my streaky bacon is ready for me. Perfect. Sorry now, you can keep these vegetarian if you want to by not using the bacon, but I love me some streaky bacon. And then just some really lovely maple syrup, because pancakes must have maple syrup. Again, don't buy any of that pretend maple syrup muck if you can avoid it. Use real maple syrup because it really is worth it. And there you go. There's your Pride brunch. Blueberry and lemon pancakes with fresh berries, maple syrup, and crispy, streaky bacon. So I have a bunch of people arriving, family and somebody else who's in our bubble arriving for our Pride brunch in about 20 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed making those. If you want the full recipe, I'll put it up on my Instagram. You'll be able to find it there. I'll put it up just after this event. These are a real family favourite at our house, and they're so simple to make. You'll see it. I mean, if you have your makings, your ingredients measured out in advance, you can make these in what? We did it in probably 20 minutes. So you can have a fantastic brunch ready to go in about 20 to 30 minutes, maybe max. Jake, come here. This is Jake. Jake has been hovering in the background because he can, come here, Jake, come and say hello. Because he could smell the bacon going on. But also, because he lives in this house, he, of course, has his favourite toy, which is a squeaky unicorn. So happy Pride from Jake, happy Pride from me. A huge thank you to everybody in Outhouse for organising today. Happy Pride, everybody. And we will see each other again soon on the parade proper. But a massive congratulations to Dublin Pride for the last 2 years for organising such a series of fantastic events. The virtual parade has just been outstanding. And I think we've seen the resilience of this community, the resilience of our commitment to pride, to joy, to love, and critically to protest. And I suppose for me, just before I close out for the day, it's just a reminder for us all again, Pride is a party, Pride is a parade, but it's also protest. Pride started when LGBTQ people in New York and Manhattan at the Stonewall Inn on June 28th, all those years ago, decided they would no longer accept oppression and brutality, and they stood up and resisted. And from that, a global movement was born. And that's what we celebrate today. We celebrate the achievements of that global movement, the rights and freedoms that we have won, rights and freedoms to which we are entitled. They are our human rights. But we also protest the rights that we've yet to secure, and critically, we protest the places where others don't enjoy the rights and freedoms that we have. We've seen what's happening in Hungary. We've seen what's happening in Poland. There are 5 countries in the world that would kill us for who we are. There are dozens that criminalize us for who we are. So today we celebrate, today we party, today we protest, and we stand in solidarity with our LGBTQ brothers and sisters and allies and others around the world. Happy Pride, everybody. Have a fantastic day. A massive thank you again to everybody at Outhouse and at Dublin Pride. And that's it from home here in North Wexford. Over to you, Dave.
Inspirational stuff there, Colm, and just a massive thanks from all of us letting us be a part of this. Bar 1661 is obviously in a very LGBT neighbourhood, and we've always had an open door policy, as everybody should. This city is inspirational, how it's changed since the 90s, since growing up, and it's from the fabulous work people like Outhouse and yourself are doing. So just a massive thank you for getting us involved.